You're not weak for wanting to face your shadow. You're at risk. Go in alone, and three things can take you: inflation, projection, or collapse. Quick fix shadow work awakens power without structure, like wiring a city to a generator with no breakers. The result isn't wisdom, it's volatility. Here's what I'll give you: the three traps, a Jungian way to avoid them, and a step-by-step practice you can start tonight. There's a third thing that dissolves psychological quicksand, and I'll show you how to build it. You're highly perceptive, not broken, overloaded. Before tactics, you need to see the first trap seducing rare minds. Inflation hijacks individuation. It looks like progress, it sounds like revelation. And then it quietly corrodes your ethics, your relationships, and your tether to reality. Jung discovered that when the ego identifies with unconscious energy, it expands beyond human proportion. You don't feel inspired, you feel anointed. Here's the definition that matters. Inflation is when you mistake proximity to power for ownership of power. You touch the unconscious and think, I am this. The feelings are unmistakable, special, invincible, outside the rules. That's the seduction. It short-circuits humility and turns growth into a grand narrative. Why is this dangerous? Because individuation requires proportion. If the ego gets too big, it stops listening. It stops negotiating with limits. It starts speaking in absolutes. Delusion follows. Relationships rupture because people become props for your myth. Ethical drift begins because destiny justifies shortcuts. The thing most people miss, that euphoria is a biological high, not a moral upgrade. Let me give you the three tells of inflation. First, grand narratives. You start linking small signs into cosmic proof. Every song, number, or dream becomes a prophecy. Second, contempt for limits. Sleep, money, deadlines, even consent. These feel like low-level problems beneath your new scope. Third, obsession with symbols as proof. You don't work with images, you wield them like credentials. Now, the grounding protocol. You need containment, rhythm, and reality tests. Containment means you stop broadcasting revelations. Keep the energy in the vessel. Rhythm means sleep at regular hours. Feed your body on a schedule and move daily. Your nervous system is your ballast. Reality tests are small and external. Pay the bill, show up on time. Ask a trusted person to sanity check your conclusions. Humility is the counterweight. Don't renounce your insight. Resize it. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Name the current, not the crown. Say, energy is moving through me, not I am it. That linguistic shift keeps the ego human-sized while honoring the power. The reason this works is simple. Language builds identity. If you crown yourself with the energy, you'll defend it. If you name it as movement, you'll steward it. A quick micro-story. Someone has a run of intense dreams, serpents, towers, floods. They wake electrified, break up with their partner, quit their job, and launch a spiritual brand in a weekend. For a month, they feel unstoppable. Then comes the crash. Isolation. Finances collapsing. No anchor relationships left. The dreams weren't wrong. The interpretation was inflated. The timing was reckless. The ego mistook signal for coronation. Common mistakes. Solo binge journaling that loops the same exalted conclusions. Ritual escalation. Bigger candles, longer fasts, louder ceremonies to chase the early high. Cutting feedback loops by avoiding grounded friends who don't get it. These moves increase heat and eliminate cooling systems. Don't do what I did the first time. I made insight the judge and executioner. Insight is a witness. Reality is the judge. Checkpoint mantra. Stay human-sized. Repeat it when the charge spikes. You're not minimizing yourself. You're maximizing integration. Practice for the next 7 days. Non-negotiables. Consistent sleep window. protein with breakfast, 20 minutes of movement, and one confidant who can say no to you. No proclamations on social media, no life rebrands. Keep a simple log, energy surges, dreams, and what held you grounded that day. You'll notice something subtle. Clarity increases as theatrics decrease. That's integration, not collapse. If you remember nothing else, the unconscious offers voltage, not a verdict. Your job is to conduct it without burning the house down. Once you contain the flame, you can read the light. And if inflation is the flame, projection is the smoke. It fills every room and makes you think the fire is out there. Here's what makes it so dangerous. Projection blinds pattern recognition. It's the smoke that convinces you the danger is always outside. When you face the shadow alone, the psyche protects itself by exporting what you can't yet own. You lose precision. You lose trust. You fight external wars while your internal forces rearrange you without consent. Jung wrote that the shadow appears first as what you hate most in others. That's not morality. That's a mirror. Here's what shadow mapping really is. Your harshest judgments point to affect-toned complexes you've disowned. Affect-toned means the charge gives it away. Heat, urgency, overreaction. You're not calmly discerning. You're compelled. The thing most people miss is simple. The accuracy you feel about them is actually accuracy about your split. The target is a decoy. The charge is the clue. Let me give you the 3x3 mapping drill. 3 people who trigger you. 3 traits you can't stand in each. 3 concrete moments when the trigger spiked. Write them as short behavioral phrases. Interrupts constantly. Plays victim when confronted, flirts to gain favor. Now the mirror test. For each phrase, ask 3 questions. Where is this in me at 5% that I disown? Where do I fear being seen as this? And where do I need a skill around this? Then retract and reclaim the language. Change their manipulative to I protect myself by seeking control when I feel powerless. You've just collapsed a distortion field. The mistake most people make is treating projection like insight about others. They weaponize it. It becomes a script for moral superiority. The smarter you are, the more plausible your story. Precision returns when you shift the frame. Projection is information about you, not as blame, as map data. The clarity event is when repeated enemies share your disowned trait. Different faces, same pattern. That's not fate, that's feedback. A practical example. You call others manipulative, but you use subtle compliance tactics, over-explaining to pre-approve outcomes, withholding minor truths to keep peace, praising to steer choices. From the inside, it feels like care. On paper, it's control. When you own that move at 5%, your outrage drops 80%. You still set boundaries with actual manipulation, but you stop hallucinating it everywhere. You need a safety valve. Delay declarations 24 hours. No public verdicts, no explosive texts. In that window, ask 3 questions. Where is this in me? Where is it in fear? Where is it in need? In me finds the micro-trace. In fear names the threat you're over-anticipating. In need identifies the unmet value, clarity, space, respect. Then you can ask for what you need instead of prosecuting a character trial. Here's the quick win. Anytime you hear yourself say, they always, or people like that, reframe to, I protect myself by, when I feel. Example, I protect myself by scanning for control when I feel cornered. That sentence returns agency. It also reveals options. You can protect yourself with clarity, with distance, with a boundary instead of with projection. A boundary note, projection work complements boundaries. It doesn't cancel them. Recognizing your projection reduces false positives. It does not require you to tolerate harm. Hold both. Do the mirror test privately. Set the boundary publicly. You'll feel cleaner. Others will feel less accused and more informed. Once you contain power and recall projections, you're ready for the method Jung relied on, the game changer that mediates opposites without collapse. The third thing that turns smoke back into signal. Opposites tear the psyche when you try to pick sides. Ambition versus rest. Intimacy versus autonomy. Mercy versus justice. If you choose one and exile the other, you split. If you fuse them, you drown. The third thing mediates without collapse. Jung called this the transcendent function, a structured dialogue between your conscious aim and the unconscious image that disagrees until a creative synthesis appears. Here's what it is in plain language. You state your stance clearly. You invite the counter-image without arguing. You hold the tension long enough for a symbol or a felt shift to arrive. The symbol isn't a verdict, it's a bridge. You work with it. You don't worship it. The reason this works is that the psyche speaks in images when logic jams. The image reorganizes your choices the way a new blueprint reorganizes a city. Let me show you the dialogue protocol. Step 1. Write your conscious stance in one paragraph. Active voice. I want aggressive career growth this quarter. Step 2. Invite the counter-image. Ask, what opposes this? Then let your hand write what comes. Maybe it's a stone pool in shade, or a heavy blanket, or a kiln. Step 3. Hold tension. Describe the image with a neutral tone, color, temperature, motion. Don't decode yet. Step 4. Ask, what does this image require from me today? Wait for a small behavioral instruction. Step 5. Implement one micro move and review the impact tomorrow. You need a container. Ritualize time, stable posture, specific question, non-argumentative tone. Same chair, same 20-minute window. Phone outside the room. Your nervous system learns the ritual as safety, which keeps you from hijacking the process with debate. If you catch yourself litigating, pause and write. Noted. Then return to the image. The point isn't to win, it's to hear. Here's the game changer. Treat symbols as bridges, not credentials. If you dream of a crown, you don't declare yourself king. You ask what the crown wants from your posture today. Maybe lifted shoulders in a tense meeting. If you see a kiln, you don't become fire. You structure heat. You sprint, then cool. The symbol directs rhythm, not identity. An example. You're torn between ambition and rest. The image arrives as a kiln. Interpretation. Intense heat in controlled intervals that harden clay, not constant blaze that cracks it. Implementation. 90-minute focused sprints, 15-minute downshifts, hard stop at 8 p.m. Review. Energy steadier, sleep deeper, output higher. You didn't solve ambition versus rest. You built a third pattern that honors both. Common mistakes. Rushing interpretation. Slapping a meaning on the image to relieve tension. Demanding certainty. Asking the psyche for guarantees instead of guidance. Ignoring the body. Missing the quiet signal of rightness. Shoulders drop. Breath deepens. Jaw unlocks. When that shift appears, you've crossed the bridge. If it doesn't, you're still negotiating or fantasizing. You also need a mentor function, analyst, peer, or a practiced part of you that acts as reality witness. Their role is simple. Ask, what changed in behavior and outcome? Not, was the image impressive? Evidence over euphoria. If the micro-experiment improves clarity, mood, or results, you're integrating. If not, adjust. No drama. Iterate. Integration cycle. One question, one image, one tweak for 7 days. Keep a log. Day 1, stance and image. Days 2 through 7, action and effect. By the end, you'll see a pattern. The psyche rewards commitment, not spectacle. Now you try. Tonight, ask one precise question. Invite one image. Make one behavioral tweak tomorrow. Review, adjust, repeat. Here's the one thing to remember when the work turns heavy. Stay with the tension until the bridge appears. Don't leap, don't collapse, build. Here's the takeaway. Facing your shadow alone isn't courage, it's exposure. Contain power, retract projections, and build the third thing through disciplined dialogue. Comment with your strongest projection pattern. Name the sentence you'll reframe to, "I protect myself by." Subscribe for more insights into Jung's discoveries, and watch the next lesson on dream protocols to anchor the transcendent function.